At the international level, there are numerous organizations that are aligned with the left and can be counted as part of the secret combination. We have already named several, including the United Nations and its subordinated organizations, such as the World Health Organization and UNESCO. In truth, with the United Nations clearly pushing a left-wing globalist and socialist agenda, all of its affiliates follow suit within their own spheres of influence. The most troubling organ of the UN is the International Court of Justice. According to the United Nations Charter, all member nations of the UN are parties to the ICJ. In theory, the court's jurisdiction is based upon consent. However, there is a provision in the Charter of the United Nations whereby an aggrieved party may seek enforcement of a judgment throughout the Security Council. In effect, the ICJ can, at times, supersede the sovereignty of a nation. Of course, nations on the Council, such as the United States, can veto any measures against them. Still, the basic impulse of the ICJ and the globalists at the United Nations is that all nations are within their compulsory jurisdiction. At the national level, political parties on the left comprise the highest level of players in the secret combination. After all, it is political parties that by their very nature seek power. Persons in these parties share the same views on how political power should be used. In the United States, it's the Democratic Party that is the prime mover of the conspiracy. Democrats have been the party of statism and tacit socialism at least since President Roosevelt's New Deal in the 1930s. The New Deal was statist in the sense that it dramatically increased the role of the government in the economy and embraced the concept of a government-regulated economy. It was also considered, in some respects, socialistic. Today's Democratic Party has become openly socialist. We have discussed the party's desire for governmental control of healthcare. However, the Democrats want even more socialism. Some are calling for a universal and guaranteed income, such as presidential candidate Andrew Yang.
All right, in a crowded field of 2020 Democratic candidates, Andrew Yang is standing out. The former tech executive wants to give every American over 18 a universal basic income of $1,000 per month. Why? Well, let's ask him. Andrew Yang, Democratic candidate for president, joins me now. Thank you very much for being with us. Universal basic income, $1,000 a month for everyone, including, say, Allison Camerata?
Yes, that's exactly right. And we need to make this move because we're in the midst of the greatest economic and technological transformation in the history of our country.
Secret combinations, by their very nature, using murder to get gain, are criminal enterprises. The criminality of the Obama administration is in the process of being exposed for all to see. The administration, from top to bottom, used the power of the government to spy on, frame, and smear their enemies, and even tried to remove a sitting president. An angry Mark Levin, constitutional scholar, put it this way.
Barack Obama is one of the most corrupt presidents in history, certainly in modern history. Barack Obama. It was the Obama FBI that was spying on the Trump campaign. It was the Obama FBI that was spying on Carter Page. It was the Obama FBI that went after Michael Flynn. It was the Obama FBI that hid exculpatory information about Michael Flynn. It was the Obama FBI that lied to the FISA court. It was the Obama FBI that conspired to trigger the 25th Amendment against the President of the United States. And I looked at the leaks, and I knew they were coming from the FBI that were taking place. And I took 8 of them, one exhibit after another. And I said, and I meant it, there's espionage going on in this administration against Trump, against his campaign. I didn't have the specifics, but I knew enough to read what was going on. Those leaks were coming from the FBI.
The Obama administration truly was the most corrupt in history. It was, in fact, a criminal conspiracy on multiple levels. It was his former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, along with Democratic National Committee, that funded the so-called Christopher Steele dossier, which became the basis for the administration's spying on the Trump campaign and later presidency. The Obama administration's efforts to destroy the Trump campaign sought to ensure Clinton's election, preserving both Obama's legacy and the continuance of the combination in power. It was his vice president, Joe Biden, who extorted the firing of the Ukrainian top prosecutor investigating corruption in the company for which his son worked. He did so using taxpayer funds and apparently had the backing of Obama.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
It was his second FBI director, James Comey, who directed the framing of General Michael Flynn, President-elect Donald Trump's incoming national security advisor, setting a perjury trap. General Flynn was accused of lying and forced to plead guilty, even though Comey and the FBI knew of his innocence.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the same room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration. The FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official. You would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
It was also Director Comey who signed the first 3 FISA warrants to spy on Carter Page, giving the FBI access to the Trump campaign. Deputy Attorneys General Sally Yates and Rod Rosenstein also signed FISA warrants. Andrew McCabe, the FBI's deputy director, also signed a FISA warrant and assisted in the framing of General Flynn. Robert Mueller was appointed by President George W. Bush and continued to serve under President Obama. He was appointed special counsel to the Justice Department by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to investigate any links and/or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign of President Donald Trump, and any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation. All those involved in the investigation, including Robert Mueller, knew that the investigation lacked a proper criminal predicate and amounted to a fraudulent and unfettered search for a crime against the president. Mueller's special counsel team was comprised primarily of Democrats, many of whom donated to Democratic causes and candidates. The more prominent members of the team include Jeannie Ray and Andrew Weissmann. Ray, a registered Democrat, previously served as Obama's Deputy Assistant Attorney General and represented both Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation in court. Andrew Weissmann, another registered Democrat, donated to Obama's campaign in 2008. Mueller allowed Weissmann, his so-called pit bull, to hire the team, ensuring it would be composed of anti-Trump hostiles. At the top of this vast criminal conspiracy to destroy the Trump campaign and all those associated with it sat President Obama. General Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, described it as wide and deep. and involved multiple people in multiple agencies and went all the way up to the White House.
Well, we're now seeing why the investigation is and has been taking as long as it has. This is wide and it is deep. It involves multiple federal agencies, multiple people at each of the federal agencies, all the way up to the White House.
Her assessment that the White House was deeply involved is based upon 2 tweets between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, both also deeply involved in the conspiracy, indicating that the president wanted to know everything and that the White House was running this.
Oh, what did Joe and Barack know and Rice know and let's see, Loretta Lynch know? And when did they know it? Why did Susan Rice go back 2 weeks later?
The White House is running
Barack
all of
said
this.
do everything by the book.
Remember those tweets? Yep, remember those tweets. The White House is running this. He wants to know everything.
A conspiracy of this magnitude requires an army of foot soldiers. These foot soldiers were in multiple agencies. Furthermore, the rampant spying on the Trump campaign, espionage as Mark Levin put it, required the witting or unwitting complicity of the intelligence community. Unfortunately, there were complicit actors in leadership positions within the IC. It was on the watch of James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence in the Obama administration, that the Spygate conspiracy formed and operated. Clapper lied to Congress about NSA's data collection on everyday Americans and leaked the fake Christopher Steele dossier to the press. Perhaps the most malevolent actor in Spygate was John Brennan, the Obama administration director of the CIA. It was Brennan who pushed the Steele dossier to the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, who then wrote a letter about it to James Comey. This was the genesis of the illegal FISA warrants against the Trump campaign. Brennan also conducted spy operations against selected Americans. With his connections to U.S. intelligence partners, it was likely Brennan who asked Britain's counterpart to NSA, GCHQ, to collect emails and phone calls of Trump officials. As an aside, that the GCHQ was willing to participate in a U.S. conspiracy to derail a presidential campaign speaks to the global reach of the secret combination. Brennan knew who to contact to participate in this illegal activity. In turn, his contact knew those in GCHQ who would also join the cabal. Moreover, President Trump, when asked by Sean Hannity in a June 2019 interview, indicated he believed that along with Great Britain, Italy, Australia, and Ukraine, also conducted surveillance on his campaign. The true foot soldiers of the secret combination throughout the intelligence community and the government at large are the civilian employees and contractors who share the same ideology and agenda as the corrupt leadership. While Director Brennan can interact with the higher echelons within the IC, foreign and domestic, he does not personally conduct the illicit surveillance or other forms of espionage. That is left to witting accomplices at lower levels. Within the government of the United States is a network of players who act separately from the interest of the overt government or any sitting administration, pursuing their own objectives. This is called the deep state. The deep state may have a variety of agendas. But the deep state currently embedded in the United States government supports the left. It will support the agenda, policies, and actions, even illegal, of a leftist administration, such as that of Obama, and it will fight, obstruct, resist, subvert the policies and actions of an administration that threatens those same policies and agenda, such as that of Trump. And that is exactly what has been occurring. The deep state quietly and covertly joined what is known as the Resistance, an organized movement dedicated to fight the presidency of Donald Trump. But the agenda of the deep state is more than simple resistance. It is about power and gain. It is about protecting its power and expanding it. Being a component of the latter-day secret combination, it acts like a secret combination. When an existential threat appears, it protects its own, just as the lawyers of the Gadianton robbers did within the Nephite government. The modern deep state assisted in the attempted soft coup against Donald Trump. Deep staters obstructed and continue to obstruct any investigation into their illicit actions. They have withheld and continue to withhold incriminating documents. They have also destroyed documents and wiped clean any digital evidence. They have acted in concert with the press to leak classified documents favoring their agenda or harmful to the opposition. They have provided false narratives under the cloak of authority and authenticity to the press with the same objectives. They do all this with impunity and total disregard for the laws and regulations, just as the secret combinations did in the past. The secret combination of the latter days will be a global conspiracy intent on destroying the freedom of all the nations of the world. In modern terminology, a global conspiracy, secret and embedded in all the nations, is called the international, global, or supranational deep state. It is the alliance of the deep states in all nations, along with other actors, intent on controlling the governments of all nations. It seeks to establish a new world order, a totalitarian world government with itself at the head. While many consider this a conspiracy theory, the Book of Mormon says that it will be real. We have documented this global conspiracy at the edges, citing CIA Director John Brennan's use of foreign intelligence operations against Donald Trump's campaign and later President Trump's administration. But it will become even more clear in a case study of the COVID-19 pandemic, which we will address later. Needless to say, this cabal already exists globally and is actively trying to achieve world domination. It resides on the left of the political spectrum. The deep state, nationally or internationally, works hand in hand with the press. That is so because the press, at least the so-called fake news outlets, are part of the secret combination. It is the propaganda wing of the conspiracy. The press smears all those who oppose them, leak damning documents leaked to them by deep actors, leak fake narratives to support the agenda of the deep state, and defend and cover up the actions of their own. Mark Levin knew that it was deep state actors within the FBI that was leaking to a complicit press.
And I looked at the leaks, and I knew they were coming from the FBI that were taking place. And I took 8 of them, one exhibit after another. And I said, and I meant it, there's espionage going on in this administration against Trump, against his campaign. I didn't have the specifics, but I knew enough to read what was going on. Those leaks were coming from the FBI.
The reason that the fake news acts as the propaganda wing of the conspiracy is that they are populated with conspirators. It is an incestuous relationship between the media and the Democratic Party and the deep state.
And I want the American people to know that one of the problems is, in addition to the most corrupt president in modern history, Obama, we have the most corrupt press in modern history. You want to know why? There are dozens of former Democrats that worked on Capitol Hill, that worked in nonprofit groups, that worked in the Obama and Clinton administrations, who are now so-called news journalists in the media. And they have family members, too. There is an incestuous relationship. I call it the Democrat Party media because that's exactly what it is.
Even those who were actively involved in the soft coup against Trump, such as John Brennan and James Clapper, have been hired as commentators by the media after their government service. Other conspirators, like James Comey, published op-eds in the fake news' newspapers, such as the New York Times. Furthermore, the press, as all good soldiers in a secret combination, protect and defend their own. This is the case in regards to allegations that Joe Biden sexually abused a staffer. Regardless of the merits of the accusations, the press will exonerate all those associated with the conspiracy.
What it is. And they're covering up for Biden now. When Biden wants to speak, he can barely speak. When Biden wants to speak, who does he talk to? Joe Scarborough? Oh, that'll be a fascinating discussion. Between the two of them, they have a negative IQ of 48. You're going to have Biden there. You know full well that the Scarborough staff and the Biden staff are already coordinating on how he's going to respond and so forth. Hey, tough guy, Biden, you're always calling out the president. You're going to take him behind the schoolhouse. How about you stand up straight like a man in front of a camera, take questions for 30 or 40 minutes. The president does it for 90 minutes at a time. You were accused of sexual assault. In some states, what you're accused of doing is called rape. This is a very, very serious matter. So defend yourself like a man. Speak out. Don't put out statements. But the press will defend him. Why? Because the press is corrupt.
In addition to conspirators within the Obama administration and within the government, the deep state, there are members of the secret combination in the U.S. Congress. In the Senate, the entire Democratic caucus can be considered a component of the conspiracy, especially its leadership and those who aspire to be president. It was the entire Democratic caucus that voted to remove a president upon a charge they knew was unconstitutional and false. But the most active chapter of the conspiracy is found in the House of Representatives. Having failed in taking down President Trump through accusations of Russian collusion, the Democratic caucus of the House sought another soft coup by way of a sham impeachment. It was the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who initiated the investigation, which was led by committee chairs Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler. The charges against the president were supported by deep state actors within the intelligence community, beginning with the IC Inspector General, Michael Atkinson, who allowed an illegitimate whistleblower complaint to form the basis of the impeachment. Other deep state actors were called to testify to support the attempted soft coup. Also of note are the 4 new representatives of the House, nicknamed the Squad. The Squad, self-styled Democratic Socialist, are pushing the Democratic Party even further to the left than it already is. Below Congress in the political realm are the state and local leaders within the Democratic Party. We will discuss these in the context of our case study. A key component of seizing and retaining power is to ensure that you own the judicial system. It is the judges, after all, who interpret and execute the laws, no matter what was originally intended. The secret combinations among the Nephites understood this, setting at defiance the law and rights of the land through the judicial system. The global secret combination of our day, the radical left, also understands this and uses the judicial system to its own advantage. One of the left's favorite tactics is called forum shopping, where you take your case to a court that is likely to rule in your favor. In the United States, the court of choice has been the very liberal U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. With President Trump's appointments, the Ninth and other circuit courts have become less attractive for forum shopping. Of course, the most significant court in the United States is the Supreme Court. Final adjudication of the law rests with these 9 judges. Consequently, every new nomination to the court has become a battleground between left and right in an attempt to attain or maintain a majority of like-minded judges. With President Trump's 2 recent additions to the court, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, the balance has shifted toward the right, something the left cannot accept. All secret combinations need the backing of the judiciary to succeed, and will do anything to ensure that backing. This is true of the modern radical left. With the prospects of a hostile Supreme Court and the possibility of future Trump appointments, the left has resorted to proposing ways in which to take back their advantage in the court. Senator Kamala Harris let the cat out of the bag regarding the left's true intention toward the ideological makeup of the Supreme Court. The left will do anything to attain their desired end, dominance in the court. This would require a historic power play to accomplish, something secret combinations are wont to do.